Hello, my name is Amy, and I'm going to be talking about social interactionism. So today I'm going to explain the concept of social interactionism and why it's important in understanding human behavior and society. Social interactionism, also known as symbolic interactionism, is a sociological theory that focuses on how people create and interpret meaning through everyday interactions. It suggests that society is not a fixed structure that simply exists outside of us, rather it is continuously built and reshaped through communication, shared symbols, and social relationships. For example, a simple gesture like a handshake can represent respect or an agreement, but its meaning only exists because people have collectively assigned it that value. This theory also emphasizes the development of the self through social experiences. We form our sense of identity by interpreting how others respond to us and viewing ourselves through their eyes. Over time, these interactions shape who we are and how we see the world. Social interactionism is important because it helps explain how culture, norms, and roles are created and maintained. It shows that human behavior is deeply influenced by social context and shared meaning, not just by personal traits or external focuses. In essence, it reminds us that our daily communication and relationships are the foundation of society itself. So now I'm going to get into my lesson of social interactionism. So this lesson is for 4th grade, and it's to determine the theme of a story, drama, or poem from details in the text. Summarize the text. So today, as 4th graders, we're going to be detectives. Not to find out who did something, but to figure out what the storyteller wants us to learn. That's called a theme, and we'll be discovering that word together. Some other key vocabulary we're going to go over today is theme, lesson, message, evidence, details, and character. These are things you're just going to see throughout this lesson, and we're going to kind of get familiar with what these words mean. I'm sure you already know what some of them mean, but we're just going to go in more depth about that. But first, we're going to watch a video. Okay, let's start our video.
Theme. The theme of a story is either the moral, message, or the lesson that the author wants you to learn from the story. The theme is usually unsaid by the author, but we can infer it or figure it out from the text. If that's the case, how can I find it? To find the theme of a story, I need to ask myself the following questions. What message is the author trying to send? What did the character learn? What were the consequences of those actions? And finally, how did the character grow and change? Answering these questions will help me figure out the theme of a story. Let's figure out the theme of this next quick story. On a beautiful sunny day, the Robinson family took a trip together to the beach. It was the perfect beach weather. Arthur was the first one to jump in the water. He swam for what seemed like hours. Arthur loved swimming. However, he was starting to get bored. Arthur decided he will pretend to be drowning and see what everyone will do. "Help, help!" Arthur cried. "I'm drowning!" The whole family ran to rescue Arthur, only to find him laughing. "Ha ha, I tricked you. I wasn't really drowning," said Arthur. "This is not funny, and definitely not something to joke about, Arthur," puffed Mr. Robinson. After they went back to their spots on the beach, They heard Arthur screaming again for help. They ran to him again and were very upset and disappointed with him for lying and tricking them. After a few minutes, a big wave came over Arthur and he was really drowning this time. He called for help a few times, but no one came. He thought to himself that they must think he's joking again. But he wasn't. He feels terrible for tricking his parents and lying to them that way. Luckily, Mr. Robinson had seen that big wave and was already on his way to save Arthur. Mr. Robinson and Arthur finally made it back to the shore. Arthur was feeling ashamed of what he had done earlier and apologized to both his parents. Now he knows to never lie again. Let's answer these questions to find out the theme of the story. I know the character in the end learned that lying wasn't good. The consequences of lying was that people won't trust or believe him anymore. He changed towards the end by understanding what he did wrong and apologizing for it. So then what message is the author trying to send? Or what lesson does he want us to learn? Keep in mind that the theme of a story cannot be one word. Instead, it must be a complete sentence. So the theme of the story could be something like, when you lie, you lose the trust of people. So remember, the theme of a story is a lesson or message the author wants you to learn. If you liked watching this video and all my other videos, please subscribe.
Okay, so now we're going to talk a little bit more about theme, and then we're going to do it ourselves. So let's talk about theme. Theme is the big idea, the message, that the author wants the reader to learn from the story. When answering what the theme of the story is, you will use these prompts. These prompts just kind of guide you in the right direction. So the theme of the story was blank because of blank. She said the theme of the story was that if you lie, people won't believe you. And the character taught us that lying is not okay because he learned that he tricked them and they all came running when they thought he was drowning, and when he really was, no one came because they didn't believe him. So we're going to read the story on our own, and we're going to find the theme of that story. So here we go. Our story is called The Cracked Pot. Once there was a woman who carried 2 pots of water every morning from the stream to her house. She hung the pots on a wooden pole across her shoulders, one on each side. One of the pots was perfect. It always delivered a full portion of water. The other pot had a small crack, and by the time the woman reached her home, half of the water had leaked out. For 2 years, the woman brought home only 1.5 pots of water each day. The perfect pot was proud of itself, but the cracked pot felt ashamed. One day, as the woman was filling the pot at the stream, the cracked pot spoke. "I'm sorry," it said sadly. "I leak water on the way home. I'm not good enough." The woman smiled kindly. "Did you notice the flowers on your side of the path?" she asked. "They only grow on your side because I planted seeds there, and you've been watering them every day." The cracked pot looked back down the path, and it saw bright, colorful flowers waving in the sunshine. The cracked pot didn't feel broken anymore. So the question we're going to answer is, what did you notice about how the character acted? And what do you think the story is trying to teach us? And have you ever experienced something like this? So what I noticed about how the character acted was, the cracked pot acted sad when he was explaining to the woman how he felt bad that he could only deliver half a pot of water every day. And I feel like the cracked pot didn't feel broken anymore when the woman explained to the pot that the flowers were only growing because of the water he had produced for them. And the story is trying to teach us that just because something is different or broken doesn't mean that it's not okay. And have you ever experienced anything like this? So I'm going to tell you what I think the theme is. I think the story's message is our weaknesses can create something beautiful because the cracked pot's leak helped water the flowers along the path, making the world more colorful and special. So now, here's a question for you guys to answer. What details in the story help you find out the theme? So in a small group of 3 or 4 people, I want you to discuss what you think the theme of the story is. And it's okay if it's similar to mine, but it can also be different. There could be more than one theme. And be prepared to share to the class. I'll give you 1 minute. Okay, so now you are gonna do this on your own. I'll read the story to you, and you guys are gonna write down what you think the theme is in your exit ticket. So the next story we're gonna read is called The Missed Goal. Missed Goal. Liam loves soccer more than anything. Every afternoon he practiced kicking goals in his backyard. He dreamed of being the best player on his team. On the day of the big game, his team was tied, and there were only a few minutes left. The coach shouted, "Liam, you take the shot." Liam's heart pounded. He ran forward, kicked the ball, and missed. The other team grabbed it and scored. Liam's team lost. After the game, Liam sat on the bench, staring at the ground. He wanted to hide. But then his teammates ran over. "Nice try, Liam," said Jaden. "We'll get them next time." Even the coach smiled. He showed courage out there. That matters more than one goal. Liam looked up surprised. His teammates weren't mad. They were proud. The next day he practiced again, but this time he focused on having fun, not being perfect. That is such a good story. So let's go on to our exit ticket. So what is the theme in the story, The Missed Goal? And you could use this prompt right here. The theme of the story is blank because blank. And if everyone wants to just write that down, and then I will read the answer to the exit ticket. Give you like 30 more seconds. Okay, does anyone want to share their exit ticket before I tell you the answer? And this is just one of the possible answers. That's the thing with theme. There could be multiple answers. Okay, let's go for my answer. The exit ticket answer. The theme of the story is doing your best is more important than being perfect. Because Liam missed the goal, but his coach and teammates were still supporting him, and they were proud, and he tried his hardest. And the next day, Liam, when he was practicing, I don't believe he had so much pressure of being perfect and wanting to be the best. He just had fun, and that's what he learned, that it is okay to have fun in doing things. And these are the references that we used in our presentation. Does anyone have any questions about theme? I hope everyone enjoyed it, and the theme of the story is just a really good thing to learn. Because every story has a purpose. Whether it's fiction or nonfiction, the author is always trying to teach you something or tell you something. Thank you.